Then to clarify this, both of these machines were set up on behalf of the ICRF.
That is correct.
Then people were allowed to use them for whatever issues that they desired, and then through observation you could see if the frequency generator actually had any impact on the individual cases?
Exactly. We were well aware that people had been using frequency generators for years with some very good results for their different health issues. I knew about the research and had read a great deal about Dr. Reif's work, but the thought of using frequencies for different health issues and destroying microbial bacteria and viruses had not really sunk in. The best comparison I could make at the time was a soprano singer singing at a very high pitch, and she could shatter a crystal wine glass with her voice. This was the closest comparison I could come up with. I guess in the back of my mind I was thinking, does this really work?
Yeah, that would make a person wonder. So once these machines were set up, when was the first time anyone used it?
We set up the high RF 20 megahertz sweep function generator, the RF oscillator amplifier, and the plasma ray tube antenna in March of 2011. On March 23, 2011, a lady by the name of Angie and her husband had dropped by my office to talk with me. They had heard from another about the cellect-budwig protocol, which I had written, and wanted to visit with me about the information on this. I asked what type of issue she was inquiring for, and she told me she had been diagnosed with head and neck cancer several years back. She said the doctors had removed a lemon-sized tumor. After that, she said she received 30-plus rounds of radiation treatments to the area where the tumor was removed. I asked how that worked out, which she said that the cancer was back in less than 22 months and was in her jaw, her neck, and her lungs.
So it had metastasized.
Exactly. As she was talking with me, she would cough, then talk, and then cough some more. She was in really bad shape. She also told me that her pain level in her face and jaw and neck area, on the scale of a 10 being the worst, she was at a 10. The doctors had told her there was no more they could do for her other than cut a nerve in the neck area to alleviate the pain in the neck and the jaw. They could also run a scope down into her lungs and burn away some of the cancer lesions to stop the excessive coughing.
It sounds like she was at a dead end there.
I would say at that time she most likely would have not been around another 2 months at the most. She was in really bad shape.
With few options left, what did you think?
I thought she had everything to gain by trying the cellect-budwig protocol and nothing to lose. Since they were inquiring about the protocol, I spent a couple hours explaining it in detail. Then I mentioned the frequency generator.
Talk about perfect timing. I mean, you just set that up a few days prior.
I explained to her and her husband how the frequency generators work in theory, but didn't know if it would have any impact on her case. I showed her the complete system, as I've talked about, and told her she was welcome to use it on behalf of the ICRF. That was the reason it was purchased. She said she had everything to gain and nothing to lose and wanted to use it. She set an appointment with me and came in on March 25th, 2011. When she arrived, I explained to her that the ICRF had created a complete protocol for use with our frequency generators, which use the universal frequencies discovered by Dr. Reif and many of the famous researchers after him. I also mentioned we need to create a simple log starting today as we go along so we can monitor and track her progress.
Yeah, that's a great idea since she was the first one ever trying this or wanting to do this.
I thought it'd be a very good test case to monitor with her providing the information as she went along. The frequency generator was already set up, so the ICRF Day 1 protocol was simply programmed into the system. Angie sat in front of the plasma tube as it was running for about an hour the first time. She said towards the end of the hour, while the machine was running, she could feel a sensation in the right side of her face, jaw, ear, and neck, right in the area of her cancer.
What'd you think whenever she said that?
I thought to myself, wow, this is going to be interesting to see if there will be any benefit in using this with her very severe condition. When she was done, she wanted to know when she could come back and try this again. I told her I thought it best to wait a day or so in case there was any detox symptoms from possible die-off. This was a Friday evening, and so I mentioned if she'd like to come back on Sunday, March 27th, 2011, I'd be very interested in hearing if there was any benefit in using this.
Well, you sound like you were a skeptic then.
Absolutely. I wanted to see how effective this actually was. On March 27th, 2011, when she arrived for the second time, I could hardly wait to hear what she had to say. She stated that after leaving Friday evening and the following day, Saturday, she had experienced no neck or head pain, which had been very severe. She again reiterated the doctors were recommending having a nerve cut in her neck to stop the pain so she could have some quality of life. She stated she was able to sleep all night and did not have to use her inhaler for her lungs. No waking up in pain, no coughing. She stated the next day, Saturday, she felt awesome. I then asked her how she felt today, Sunday, and she said some of the pain had started to increase.
What went through your mind whenever you heard that?
Frankly, it blew me away when I heard this. She had done nothing but one shot on the machine. Once hearing this, the ICRF Day 2 protocol was simply programmed in, and she again sat in front of the plasma tube as it was running for about 60 minutes. She then returned on March 27th, 2011, and I asked her how she was doing. She told me she was sleeping better, 6.5 hours, with no pain in her ear. She did say that she had some pain fluctuating in the face and neck, and the coughing had almost stopped, but there was still some wheezing. Once hearing this, the ICRF Day 1 protocol was simply programmed in, and she again sat in front of the plasma tube. Each time she came in, Day 1 and Day 2 protocols were alternated back and forth. The ICRF protocol at present is much more intense and has been greatly refined over the years with longer run times. On March 30th, 2011, she returned and I asked how she was doing. She indicated that she had no face pain and no issue with coughing. She said it feels like her sinuses were opening up as well. She mentioned she had tubes in her ears and felt like fluids were fluctuating in her ears. It was very apparent to me at this point she was doing remarkably well in a very short period of time. She was now talking with me without coughing. She told me she still had some wheezing, but had canceled her appointment Monday to have some of the lesions in the lungs burn to stop her coughing, as she no longer needed to do this. Once hearing this, the protocol was simply programmed in, and she again sat in front of the plasma tube as it was running for 60 minutes. Angie returned on April 1st, 2011, and I asked again how she was doing. She indicated she was having pain in the right temporal area, which comes and goes, and another area behind the earlobe. She mentioned she had coughed a little bit yesterday, but was still sleeping well. She stated that she overall felt 40% better than when she first started. Once hearing this, the protocol was simply programmed in, and she sat in front of the plasma tube. She returned on April 4th, 2011, and stated that over the last couple of days she's been able to sleep very well. Pain seems to be alleviated presently. Energy levels are good. She mentioned occasionally some dry cough, but overall coughing reduced by 75%. Still has a little wheezing. Overall, she states she feels fantastic. Once hearing this, the protocol was simply programmed in, and she again sat in front of the plasma tube as it was running for about 60 minutes.
How long does it take to program the ICRF frequency protocol that Angie was using into the machine, as some people may think that they can't do this at home?
It takes about 30 seconds or less. You just push the buttons as indicated in the easy-to-follow step-by-step instructions. It's really very simple. Anyone can do what Angie was doing. She was programming her own.